Grady Trimble has a little more now on what's happening with Boeing. Go ahead, Grady.
Well, the company announced, David, that this change is to provide better transparency and better communication. That's something that Boeing has obviously struggled with since the grounding of the 737 MAX. So this new CEO, David Calhoun, he's going to have his work cut out for him in terms of restoring that, not just with investors, but with customers who are planning to get back on these planes once they're back in service. And I can tell you, Dennis Muilenburg, he is stepping down. And I was at some of the congressional hearings earlier this year, and the families of the victims were incredibly unhappy with how he handled that. In particular, he hadn't met with them until the hearings a couple of months ago, even though the crashes were several months earlier. So I think that this change in leadership gives Boeing an opportunity to kind of have a fresh start going forward, and we'll see how the new CEO handles everything. But transparency is key here with customers, with investors, and with the regulators, the FAA, who's working to get this plane back online.
Grady, what was the final analysis of whether these tests that some of the test pilots, some have just done in virtual reality, it wasn't actually done with a plane running, but in some of the tests that were done on the ground with the plane's guidance system, there were complaints by some of the pilots there. Was that seen as being unforgivable, or was it par for the course in tests like this, or what?
I think it depends who you ask, but the harshest critics will say that Boeing should have done more to make pilots aware of the changes on the 737 MAX compared to the previous version of that airline. So now, going forward, Boeing not only has to fix the issues with the plane that caused these two crashes, but they also have to make sure that pilots are aware of how everything operates when they're taking it up into the air.
Well, and they also have to pay out a lot to the bereaved families of the victims, correct?
Yes, and they've started a fund to do that. Whether money is enough to, make up for something like these two crashes, I would imagine that the families would say no. But yes, they do have a fund started, and whether they're going to face lawsuits as a result is still TBD.
Grady, great stuff. Thank you. We still have Keith Fitzgerald.